Steve Arnold and Geoff Notkin are modern-day treasure hunters.
We love the thrill of the hunt.
They travel the world in search of meteorites. The alien invaders that have been crashing into our planet for the last 4.5 billion years.
Meteorites are worth a lot of money.
On this adventure, the guys blaze a trail to Utah to catch freshly fallen meteorites after a fireball streaks across the night sky.
Well, let's get out there and see what we can find quick before somebody else finds it.
Geoff and Steve track its path to the massive Great Salt Lake Desert.
40 degrees, wind chill, 30 below.
They get special permission from the Pentagon to hunt one of the most dangerous places in the United States.
Live ammunition, bombs, chemical weapons, biological weapons have been tested here.
And the guys are blown away by what they find.
There's no other thing in the world that's as exciting as this. It's my passion, it's what keeps me going.
November 18th, 2009, a mysterious fireball lights up the midnight sky over Utah. A burst of light so intense, night turns to day for a few brief seconds. The blazing space rock burns an image on security cameras from Nevada to Utah to almost 300 miles away in Grand Junction, Colorado. The dash cam of a police cruiser captures the spectacular show.
911, what is your emergency?
Many witness the blinding phenom, and 911 operators are bombarded with phone calls.
And lit up the whole freaking neighborhood.
This was a big fireball. This wasn't just some shooting star. This is a massive, massive event. Perhaps one of the biggest fireballs in decades.
Steve Arnold and Geoff Notkin are hundreds of miles apart when they hear about the incredible fireball. Steve is in Texas, Geoff is in Arizona.
There is an urgency to finding these meteorites.
Overnight, meteorite hunters from around the world will likely converge on western Utah. When a fireball hits the Earth, the race is on to find the first freshly fallen meteorites. That's because the sooner they're found, the more valuable they are.
One of the exciting things about chasing fireballs is that it's on the fly.
Geoff and Steve want to be the first to strike meteorite gold. There are no guarantees. It's a costly risk few hunters take.
Oh, got one!
The guys are willing to gamble. They had success hunting similar terrain near here in 2009.
Sweet.
Cha-ching! It was literally a cosmic Easter egg hunt. There were just hundreds.
Because the Utah fireball was so massive, the guys hope this hunt will be an even bigger success.
We're playing a very complicated chess game here, and we don't have all the pieces on the board.
Steve is on the ground first and gathers the necessary research to start the hunt as soon as Geoff arrives. He heads to the Clark Planetarium, where director Seth Jarvis is waiting to show him some video that may hold clues to help the guys focus their hunt.
From my perspective, the shadows are more valuable than direct observation of the meteorite itself. Into this street light right here.
Yeah.
Now watch. It's on.
Yeah.
It goes out. It's so bright, it turns off the street light. That looks like noonday. There's the Wasatch Mountains.
Does.
Now, this has lit up the entire Salt Lake Valley, which is a good-sized piece of real estate. It also lit up the Utah Valley area just as bright 50 miles to the south of here. Okay. And I've got eyewitness accounts saying that he was looking from I-15 to the east, seeing the mouth of Spanish Fork Canyons and the giant wind turbines that are always spinning there. So if you're seeing mountains several miles away lit up like it's noon, I'm sort of privately betting that it's farther west than most people think.
Steve and Seth analyze the footage frame by frame, looking for anything that will help narrow down the hunt area.
So here's frame number one, street light on. Notice the break in the roof line right there. Look at the location of this roof shadow relative to these parking stripes. Then you go to a half second later. Now, everything's lit up. Notice that there's the peak there.
Right.
Instead of being there, it's moved over to there.
And it's moved up, so
And
it's showing it's getting lower.
It's going lower.
And it's going south.
Right.
Before, half a second after.
Because I know that these two images are taken exactly a half a second apart, that means I can get a speed.
It looked like it went a little bit west of north.
Someplace out in here, not too far from Fish Springs, Callao. If I were a betting man, that's where I'd sort of start looking around.
What is the terrain in the Great Salt Lake Desert like?
Flat and restricted because it's a military test area.
Ooh.
Seth is referring to the Dugway Proving Grounds, an 800,000-acre Army-controlled munitions testing facility.
They've been doing biological chemical testing since World War II. I'm a little bit concerned about scuffing up some little dust clouds walking out there because it might not be a place I want to go.
With less than an hour until Geoff arrives, Steve and Seth head to one of the secured camera locations to take actual measurements that will help pinpoint the altitude and direction of the fireball.
Okay, you want to go that way? More?
We're able to tell the telephone pole, some of the other markings on the parking lot itself to know where the fireball was when it started and where it ended. Using a little bit of math, we can figure out where these meteorites are.
What we want to do here is find out exactly which way the camera is pointing. And once we know which way the camera is pointing, then we're going to go outside and start making measurements and putting little marks on the ground to try and figure out where the shadows are falling. And then we're going to take angles back to here and see if we can't get a location in the sky for where the meteor would have been. There's the button. Okay, so get it on the building.
Wow.
See how low that is? Yeah. So get it right on the corner. Tell me when you got it.
18, maybe 18.2, 18.3.
Okay.
Okay, the point is, I think you're...
For this level of accuracy, calling it 18 degrees is good.
Right.
Okay, so 18 degrees, and this is for the frame 1. And now, we're going to do the same thing here.
250 degrees, that's your line. That's it. Nailed it.
Cool. Okay.
All right.
We're going to calculate a westerly distance based on that very low elevation.
Yep.
Because that low angle pushes the location way west, which makes us think Utah-Nevada border.
And it dropped 2.2
Degrees in a half a second. Boom.
Hey, what are you doing? Have you got internet out here?
Finally.
Finally?
Yeah.
I was waiting for you in front of the hotel.
It's now almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The guys still have a 2-hour drive to the desert and the area where they believe the meteorite hit the ground.
So we might want to start by driving these roads or covering dirt tracks and then working east over these ridges and down into that low-lying area.
The guys narrow their search, but there's still one last piece of intel to get.
And how did you find this lady? Was this through contact with the observatory, with the planetarium?
Yes.
Geoff and Steve want to talk to eyewitnesses who saw the fiery space rock hurtling through the air with their own eyes.
It was late at night when we happened to be up. It was like the lights on the front of the airplanes. It was that bright.
So, do you know if your house is square, north, south, east, west?
So this face is directly west.
Right.
Okay.
What Shanna saw confirms the guys' research. The meteorite was, in fact, heading north to south.
Even though when you witnessed this fireball, it was traveling at a tremendous speed, it was also slowing down. And then you saw the flame go out. At that point, the pieces are still moving. The fragments are still moving, and they'll continue some distance, and that's called dark flight. And that's where it gets really complicated for us, because we have to try and calculate how far they traveled after the fireball went out.
Day 1 of the hunt. Steve and Geoff are up early. Right away, they're hit with a dose of reality.
We have thousands of acres to cover. We only have so many hours to do it in.
The guys are headed to an area about 100 miles east of the Utah-Nevada border. It's flat, dry desert terrain covered in white sand. It's white because of the high concentration of salt the ground absorbed as the massive saltwater lake dried up.
The tan, the brown, dusty color is an ideal backdrop for black, burnt, freshly fallen meteorites to stand out visually. And it looks like this is going to be almost exclusively a visual hunt.
Stop, stop, stop. We're the first people here. We took an old dirt track to get out to this spot, and there were no tire tracks at all. False alarm. That's what we're looking for, but not actually that. But something that looks like that, but is actually from space.
We're the first ones, other than the very local people, to be on the ground here.
Our first meteorong.
So we're paying the price, we're scratching off options, we're doing what's got to be done. Hopefully, it'll lead to some meteorites.
Oh, stop being so optimistic.
No.
He's so good-natured, it's disgusting.
Steve and Geoff start their hunt in an area near the small town of Calillo, about 100 miles east of the Nevada border. They'll work their way west toward the Goshute Indian Reservation, then north toward the Dugway Proving Grounds.
So that Doppler signature is actually right over the road here.
Yeah.
The Utah space rock hurled through the atmosphere. Fortunately, it was detected by Doppler radar. Doppler uses relative motion and frequency of sound to pinpoint location and speed of an object.
This data that we're getting is very helpful, but they're just clues. They're not telling us where the meteorites are. They're just giving us an indication of where they might be. And there's always the chance there are no meteorites at all, that they all burned up. We don't know yet. That's part of the risk that you take on fireball chases, especially if you're the first people on the ground. If the Doppler signature is that way, then there probably aren't meteorites that way, because they're still coming down.
Maybe. The Doppler's taken a slice, and there could be, based upon weight and when something dropped off, something could have been a little lower. We should expect maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles wide of a strewn field.
The search area is massive. Geoff and Steve begin an exhaustive visual hunt.
I think this might be a good time for me to try standing in the bed of the truck.
Okay.
What, you think it's a waste of time?
No, I don't think you can handle the cold too long.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No,
Is it? Really?
It's 40 degrees wind chill, 30 below.
Standing in the back of the truck, Geoff can see up to 200 feet in any direction.
We don't know what kind of meteorite caused the fireball because we haven't found any yet, but statistically speaking, it's probably a stone. They're the most common type.
Scientists believe most meteorites originate in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Stone meteorites, the most common, form the outer crust of an asteroid. The second are irons, once part of the core. Then there are stony irons, which account for less than 2% of all known meteorites.
Meteorites are a modern-day gold rush to a few people and more people. And so there is an urgency to get out here. Geoff, out there to the south.
What is that?
I don't know.
It's really big. Do you want me to go look at it?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Okay, I'll go have a look.
I still can't get the rusty orange-brown rocks out of my brain. Although, if there are some meteorites from hundreds or thousands of years ago, they sure would be easy to find out here as well.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing. I'm really good at spotting volcanic rocks.
Okay.
That got my heart going.
Wow. Wow.
And it was totally out there on its own.
It's lunar, man.
You're right. You're lunar.
Do you want to keep it or? You know, we'll leave it here for the next person to drive by. That's really cool. Yeah, right there.
This is a pretty terrific surface for meteorite hunting. It's... Hold it, hold it, hold it. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, Geoff.
I have a really stupid meteor rung to show you. You want to see it?
Coming.
This was standing up. It had blown against the... Actually, it was like that, against the bush, way out there. A black plastic bag. Doesn't it look like a... It looks like
yeah, it sure does. And if it's like a Eucrite or a lunar or a Martian, it would have the black shiny crust.
We're doing a little bit of delittering while we're out here.
All right, our civic duties.
But I saw that from probably 50 feet away.
Geoff braves the cold for another 40 minutes. No success. The guys stop to rethink the hunt.
Here, let me see if you can help me. There's supposed to be a road here.
So we're here, right?
If the fireball was traveling north to south, the guys are confident meteorites are in this vicinity.
I would say let's just try to dart down here. This is where we want to eventually get. Yeah. Also, there's a Doppler reading crossing the road right here, so let's see how long it takes us to get down here to the Pony Express Road.
If it's traveling north to south, it's possible that it came right through here, but we might be a little off.
The Pony Express was a mail service crossing the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains from St. Joseph, Missouri to Sacramento, California from April 1860 to October 1861.
We're just going on our best educated guesswork at the moment. It's all we can do.
The guys decide the best way to cover as much ground as possible is to split up and venture out on foot.
Is this the end of the line?
Well, the end of the path. Let's go find some rocks.
And you get all excited, oh, there's a new fireball. Let's get out there and see what we can find quick before somebody else finds it. And then you get out there and start walking and go and say to yourself, well, actually, maybe there aren't any meteorites here.
A meteoroid can hit the atmosphere going up to 70,000 miles an hour, but 90% of the time, the fireball burns out completely. If they survive, like this one over West Texas in February of 2009, they can be very valuable.
Meteorites are also worth a lot of money on the collector's market, and we're not the only people in the world interested in finding meteorites.
Steve! Here! I got one!
The guys hunted the West Texas strewn field in 2009 and tallied up a nearly $2,200 payday after finding 2 meteorites. They found one weighing 37.8 grams worth almost $2,000 and a rock weighing 3 grams worth about $150.
Woohoo!
The guys hope for a bigger payday in Utah.
Our strategy at the moment is to scout, is to go to numerous locations that look good, get out, do about half an hour, 45 minutes at each location. If we don't find anything, move on, and keep doing that until we find something. We only need to really find one meteorite to kind of set us on course.
Who's this?
Steve and Geoff aren't alone in their hunt for meteorites. With any fresh fall comes the inevitable competition.
Oh, it's a friendly!
Sonny Clary is a competing meteorite hunter and a friend of Geoff and Steve's. He too knows the value of being the first to find these new meteorites, potentially worth tens of thousands of dollars.
I don't shake hands with you. How are you? It's good to see you.
Where you guys been?
I've been calling you. We got no cell phone reception out here.
Sonny and his 4-legged partner, Bricks, spent the day hunting an area farther south of where the guys are, but didn't find a thing.
I spent most of the morning right through here.
Oh, wow. You were down southwest of here. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow.
So we got a pretty big stream field to check right now.
That looks like it's actually also kind of west.
What we need to do tomorrow possibly is check up into the base of the foothills or out into the flats here.
And where is this in relation to where we are now? Or anywhere?
We are repping the saddle right here.
Oh, so it's southwest of here,
Correct.
He's thinking now.
Right.
Okay.
The sun is starting to set, and Steve and Geoff don't want to navigate the roads after dark. They head back toward the highway and their hotel.
The game plan this morning was to find some meteorites. It didn't work, though. But we used our best logic and strategy.
If it stays dry, I would like to get back out here and push it a little bit, maybe both directions, because we were kind of in the heart of where we thought it was. Go shoot.
Yeah, where is that?
It's right over the county line. There really could be something there.
The guys bury themselves under a sea of maps in Steve's hotel room and come up with a new game plan.
That might be a really good road to
to start on.
We could crisscross that whole area. Well, not whole area, but I mean, we could get a good grid going southeast off that road.
Location number 2 is west, near the Go Shoot Indian Reservation. The guy's Doppler intel shows this area to be the farthest west where meteorites would have fallen.
All right, well, I'm gonna pack up my stuff and let you have some peace and quiet. See you in the morning.
You bet.
It's been 4 days since the huge fireball blazed across the night sky over Utah. Eyewitness accounts and Doppler radar have helped Geoff and Steve track the trail of the meteor, but so far, they've found nothing. The guys are starting to feel the pressure.
You don't mind going through the hardship and hassle and putting the time in and all the other aggravation and expense involved in meteorite hunting if you actually find something. But when it drags on day after day in the cold and you don't find anything, it gets a bit depressing. I'm keeping track of our route here, and this is called setting the map. Steve calls it holding the map upside down, but that's just because he doesn't understand what I'm doing. But you orient the map in the direction in which you're going, and it's easier to spot landmarks that way.
We have just got on the Pony Express route. The trail came through the mountains there, and this highway's laid on top of it for a few miles anyway.
Do you mean the Pony Express route?
No, Pony Express route.
But route is R-O-U-T. That's as if we routed them during combat. To rout someone. Or to use a router, indeed. Whereas a route, if I'm not mistaken, R-O-U-T-E, is a road. So wouldn't it? R-O-U-T. E. Route. Very good. Oh, wonderful. We've got a sheep block.
Oh, look, a meteorite.
Don't do that. It makes my heart stop. Hey, big doggy. Come here, big doggies. He looks mad. Wow, it's like being back in Scotland. They're so great. Okay, big doggy. Can we go now? Thanks, buddy. That was great. This is Go Shoot Airport.
Geoff and Steve come upon a small airport landing strip.
If there are rocks on the road, they quickly get kicked off to the side by tires, but a runway would be ideal. This is one place they ought to be.
They stop to canvass the area on foot.
Driving around in a four-wheel drive truck is not the best way to do this. It's one way to do it. We would like to be on motorcycles or ATVs. This is BLM land. They don't want us tearing up the environment with ATVs.
Need a break. I'll be ready in 10 minutes.
I thought we were at some altitude, yeah. Almost 6,100 feet.
Oh. Tell you what, you finish that up, I'm out of here. This is unbelievably nice. Geoff!
What are you up to now?
Look what jumped on the stick.
I don't think it's heavy enough to be a meteorite. No, I think it's a piece of volcanic rock.
You called me all the way over for this? Happy Christmas.
This is a lesson that not everything that's black is a meteorite. Not everything that's basically smooth and rounded is a meteorite. Not even everything that sticks to a magnet. And even something that's black, rounded, and sticks to a magnet may not be a meteorite. It's probably not a meteorite.
The guys have crossed on to the Go Shoot Indian Reservation.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing all right. My name's Steve Arnold, and I'm out here looking for the meteorite.
Only 31 of the 125 Go-Shoot Native Americans actually live on the reservation. Tommy Pete saw the spectacle in the sky firsthand.
Well, I was sitting there watching TV, and I seen this really bright light outside. So I thought it was somebody shining a flashlight outside or something. And so I got up and I ran to the window and I just caught the end of it. Seen it land back way over there somewhere on the other side of that mountain.
Wow. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, actually I heard like a sonic boom or something.
Really?
Yeah, like right after I saw the light.
Wow. So you were pretty close to it in that case?
Yeah, it had to be pretty close. It was right around here is where I saw the big flash at.
Okay.
Where it went over the hill, I'm thinking. And that would be right down there. See where them houses are at right there?
Yeah.
Probably just directly above those.
Now, is that Gold Hill there?
Yeah, that's actually Gold Hill right there.
That's Gold Hill?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes the meteorites will still keep flying even after they slow down and they stop burning. They're still moving pretty fast. So we're trying to pinpoint where it stopped burning and then try to determine where the pieces may have landed. So over 8 Mile, over Ibapaw, over Gold Hill.
Yeah, over Gold Hill.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's about where I saw the flash.
So we should take the paved road north.
Yeah, take the paved road north till you get to that Gold Hill turn.
Okay, and that's the Pony Express Road.
Yeah, Pony Express Road, and it turns into a dirt road, and it's dirt road all the way back there.
All the way up.
Yeah. If you get lost, just come back and
Thank you.
use some directions.
It's really a pleasure in our work to meet people that have witnessed these events personally.
Yeah.
Thanks so much
Pretty
for your time.
interesting. All right, you guys have a good day.
All right, thanks again.
Yeah.
If Tommy's report is accurate, then the fireball may have exploded right over Gold Hill.
Tommy was our first ear witness, and that is an extremely good sign that there are rocks on the ground, because it takes a physical rock to create the sonic boom.
And we've got now just a few miles to go to the projected bullseye right in the southwest corner.
This would be a good time to keep our eyes open. If our projected bullseye is the projected bullseye, then we are in the strewn field.
When meteorites fall to Earth, the area where they scatter is called the strewn field.
Strewn field could be quite small. It could be 10, 15, 20 miles long. Some of the largest strewn fields in the world are literally hundreds of square miles.
Geoff and Steve have hit a roadblock.
I don't think I'm going to be opening this one.
Literally.
This is about as far as we go on this track. Dead end road, no trespassing, government property.
The Dugway Proving Grounds is location number 3. 800,000 acres of secure land controlled by the Army for defense munitions testing.
We're reasonably sure that any and all meteorites that landed in there, in the base, and we cannot get there. I'm gonna start banging my head against the fence. Literally.
Hey, there's a phone number. You don't think we could call the installation commander and ask him?
Ask him what? If this is a gate?
If we can enter the area. They don't say you can't, you just can't without explicit permission.
I don't know, the aerial bombing live ammunition part makes me think they'd probably say no. It could be right out there. We could be doing it tomorrow. It's a little aggravating.
The seismic coordination, the triangulation through the fixed camera videos puts it between a peak just on the other side of this hill and that peak right over there. And that's the strewn field. It's a little frustrating. I mean, this is an opportunity for the first time ever for 100% of a strewn field to be captured on ground that 99%, 100% of it could be found.
If the guys are right, and the entire strewn field is on the other side of this fence, the meteorites have the potential to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. A huge incentive for Steve and Geoff.
we've got it all except the most important piece of the puzzle. What do you do? What do you do?
The guys are certain the strewn field is on the other side of this fence. They need to get onto the Dugway Proving Grounds and the Utah Test and Training Range to find the meteorites that could be worth thousands of dollars.
It's the most unbelievably perfect meteorite hunting surface in the history of the known universe. You could measure and record the location of every single stone that fell theoretically, and it would be the best mapped strewn field ever. It would be an amazing piece of scientific knowledge that would have far-reaching ramifications in the science of meteoritics. These signs are up here for a reason. They're dropping live bombs out there. We saw some go off earlier. Actually, we heard them first. It's a tremendous sonic boom, explosions.
Getting access to hunt 2 military bases isn't going to be easy. Geoff and Steve believe the small end of the strewn field is on the southern edge of the Utah Test and Training Range, then crosses onto Dugway, where the majority of the strewn field lies. Dugway is a U.S. Army base comparable in size to the state of Rhode Island. For more than 50 years, the military has tested much of its equipment here, as well as chemical and biological weapons defense systems.
We really want to see this strewn field and ideally recover a few pieces and get them to one of our scientific colleagues for study. The sooner the better.
Time is of the essence. The alkali in these flats will cause meteorites to decay more quickly than if they had landed in regular sand.
The fireball that we're chasing will have originated up there somewhere, maybe a little to the west, and gone very close to overhead. And right over there, towards that mountain that's in silhouette, I'm actually probably looking right out the strewn field.
Because the guys are asking to hunt bases controlled by 2 different branches of the military, Geoff and Steve's request for clearance onto Dugway and the Utah Test and Training Facility has to be approved by the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. There's no telling how long this could take.
Unless we can get permission from the base commander to get on, this may be the closest we get to the strewn field ever.
It was in 2008, during this same week in November, that a 10-ton fireball streaked a fiery path over the sky of Saskatchewan in Canada. The first piece was found in a frozen pond.
I got one.
Geoff and Steve hunt the site a year later and find 8 meteorites worth thousands of dollars.
Oh,
Excellent.
3 months later, Geoff and Steve finally get the news they've been waiting for.
I think my military escort has arrived.
Because of the special circumstances,
Hello. How you doing? Roger Cannon. Roger, Steve Arnold.
the Pentagon is giving Geoff and Steve a 1-day clearance to hunt both the Air Force and Army installations, which means the guys have to split up.
I have never hunted with a military escort before. Getting the official permission to come in is exciting. I don't think this has ever happened before, where something has landed clearly on a military base and something as off limits as this is.
The changing weather conditions. You know, we're going to go out there, so everything you brought, take it, wear it.
Okay.
'Cause you're going to be needing it.
Before he can hunt, Steve is briefed on what to expect.
Every once in a while, somebody finds an old bomb that may or may not contain chemicals.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
An escort takes Geoff into the desert, where a safety ordnance officer is waiting. From here, Geoff will be taken to the Army-approved areas he can hunt.
It's amazing to think this was all underwater once.
Lake Bonneville was a giant lake that existed nearly 14,000 years ago. It was about 325 miles long and nearly 135 miles wide. Its deepest point was over 1,000 feet.
Lake Bonneville was huge. This whole area was underwater.
The lake contained many islands that today are the mountain ranges of western Utah. This area is now called the Bonneville Salt Flats.
Last time I was in this area, they had targets set up.
Oh, really?
We don't have targets now, so I just want to make sure we're safe.
Well, I appreciate that.
Critical. Critical for your safety and mine.
Meteorites are important, but they're not important enough to get blown up for.
That's for sure.
Geoff is about 90 miles onto Dugway when he meets Officer Cameron McCrae.
Cameron, hello.
Hello.
Could I ask, for the benefit of your expertise, any areas that you feel are safe and accessible that are west of here? That's our target. Is it possible that we could drive to the edge of the salt flat and maybe scan with binoculars to see if we see anything?
No.
Okay.
Geoff is quickly finding out that a lot of Dugway is off limits due to dangerous testing that's done here.
This is a paved road it's paved to this point here at a site they call 777. And beyond that, it is an improved gravel road.
Well, any areas that you feel are safe and accessible that are west of here, that's our target, that purple line. That's what we project to be the center of the fall. And so pieces could have fallen some distance either side of that line.
This is where the guys are confident the strewn field is located. If they can get to this spot, Geoff and Steve are certain they'll find meteorites.
This red ellipse here is the kind of projected fall area. And we draw a line to approximate the direction of flight of the incoming meteorites. And that was our original projection, but since then it's shifted a bit to the west.
We can take you up to the berm.
That would be
like
great.
I say, it's a natural occurring berm.
The berm is a ridge that overlooks the Bonneville salt flats.
Is the berm something that I could walk up onto the top of and scan with binoculars?
To the top.
Oh, really? I think that would be ideal. That would probably give us a good vantage point over the salt flats from there.
The little ones moved a little bit to the east, which is kind of where we're at. So,
Steve is hunting an area of the Utah Test and Training Range. He and Geoff believe the small end of the strewn field is here.
Our projection showed that if this thing broke up high and started to drop off little pieces, a few might have landed on the Air Force side.
this thing was went in somewhere, and it does what's called a porpoise out.
Okay.
When it does that, then it starts flipping.
Okay.
Okay. And that's where it landed. And then the EOD, the Explosive Ordnance Disposal guys, come in, and then what they did is they blew the back half of this off. Sometimes you'll find these out in the middle of nowhere because they can skip for a mile.
Okay.
So this is where EOD actually did the detonation, and you can tell that by that box right there is a C4 box. This was probably their last shot, and they put some explosive around to blow the back end off.
Little dark black rocks are what we're looking for.
Because of the ordnance tested here, Steve is only allowed to use his magnet stick in designated areas. To cover this vast area in a short amount of time, the Air Force rolls out the big guns. Steve gets on his Air Force ATV and, accompanied by a military escort, takes off to find space rocks.
Wow. So, what is this thing? Well, it's a internal part of a jet engine from, I would say, at least 1970 that crashed here, military aircraft.
Okay.
The main part of the debris field surrounds us, and this is just the heaviest part of it and least likely to break apart.
So, they wouldn't try to crash this. This is an accident, probably.
This was an accident. So the closest road would have been 8 miles away. So they would have had to fly people in here. That's an old one.
No kidding. Beyond repair.
Beyond repair.
Okay. Had a colonel on one side of me. I had a lieutenant colonel flanking me on the other side. We were on our mission looking for rocks, trying not to get blown up, not by enemy combatants, but by very delayed friendly fire, because there's unexploded ordnances everywhere, and it was exciting.
Steve spends almost 3 hours exploring the Air Force grounds. No signs of meteorites. He makes the decision to stop his hunt and join Geoff at Dugway.
Found some unexploded ordnance, found some shrapnel, found old 50 caliber shells, but nothing that turned out to be from outer space.
What keeps the guys going when they're not having any luck finding meteorites is knowing what could be out there.
Yes! Woohoo!
Geoff and Steve have had a lot of success hunting huge meteorites. Their biggest find as a team is this $50,000 223-pound Stony iron that they recently unearthed at their top-secret alpha site in Kansas.
It's a monster!
In 2005, Steve discovered this record-setting 1,430-pound meteorite in Brenham, Kansas. The media dubbed it the $1 Million Rock. On a fresh fall like the one in Utah, with a strewn field that has been untouched, Geoff and Steve remain confident there are meteorites worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
There's the salt flat.
Fantastic. Wow, it really does just suddenly start. Boom, doesn't it?
At Dugway, Geoff has made it to the ridge that overlooks the salt flats.
How far really is it safe to hike out? What I'd like to do is head northwest from here. I would aim to go 1 or 2 miles out, probably.
Okay.
If that. We don't know if there's anything on the ground, but if there is, it's right out there and we're gonna find it. The question is, will I be allowed to go far enough towards the strewn field? Based on our calculations, right now, I'm at the very easternmost possible point for any material to have fallen. And we're estimating the width of the strewn field could be 1 to 3 miles.
Geoff takes his time as he makes his way through the brush.
That's something interesting and definitely man-made. Looks like part of
something that was fired at something. And I promised Cameron I wouldn't touch anything, so I'm not gonna poke it. This is where the United States military tests chemical weapons, biological weapons, drones, bombs, missiles, and they've been doing that since World War II.
Steve eventually finds Geoff hunting deep in the salt flats.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much on the Air Force side. How about down here?
Well, I haven't found anything, but it sure is a fantastic area.
Boy, it is.
The guys will hunt as much as they can together before the sun goes down. This has been a long and exhausting hunt, and they're hoping their luck will change.
We did an 11-kilometer hike. We found lots of man-made shell casings and bits of missiles and parachutes and some amazing Native American artifacts, arrowheads and axe heads, which we weren't allowed to touch, but we did photograph. It's very, very fascinating.
After 4 hours, the guys get to an area where their escort tells them to stop. They can't go any farther.
There's been testing for so many years out here, so many different things. Just the other day, we found a 2,000-pound bomb, and so it's something to be concerned about.
But Steve still has one trick left up his sleeve.
What is that? You've got a lunar rover?
Yeah!
That's brilliant.
And this is going out into the danger zone.
A camera mounted on top of the Traxxas truck will replace Geoff and Steve's eyes for the dangerous mission.
All I see is a lot of really flat surface and a few bits of green stuff. Can you slow it down a second? There's a dark shape up ahead to the right. Wait, hold it. Look. Go to your left. Slowly. That looks really interesting. Look. Is that a shell case? You would know better than me.
Yeah. No, it's nothing. I think it's a piece of wood from greasewood.
Damn, that looked really good from a distance. Anything appears really dark against the salt.
The guys use the truck for about 45 minutes before they have to leave the proving grounds.
Okay. All right. Well, this was a very fun project.
Oh!
I think ultimately I just got to say, we got to give up on this one. We have been to every bit of the perimeter of this base, all the way around. We've searched extensively out, in some cases several miles from the perimeter fence. Found a few unexploded bombs and missiles, kind of exciting. And then we finally really did actually get to the spot where we thought the meteorites would be, and there just weren't any. So it is certainly possible that everything burned up in that gigantic fireball and there just aren't any meteorites. You don't take something home every time. And there's always disappointment, and there's always a little bit in the back of your mind that goes, but what if they were just a bit further in? But the truth is, we really can't go a bit further in. So it's part of meteorite hunting.
What happened to that blazing ball of fire that turned night into day just after midnight on November 18th, 2009? To find out, Geoff and Steve traveled to Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, to meet with meteorite specialist Dr. Mike Zolensky.
Well, Mike, we're excited to show you what we found.
Wow!
Nothing! There's a chance this thing totally burnt up coming in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if it was a CI conduit or something like that, it could easily just been totally destroyed into dust. Yeah, I think that these days, they've gotten really good at calculating where to expect to find things on the ground, within a kilometer or two. So my guess is either it was unrecognizable for some weird reason, or it just burned up into dust.
It is likely that a meteorite could have totally disintegrated. When it came in, broke apart, it broke into such small pieces they easily burned up. There's also the possibility that it landed a little farther from where we were at. And based upon what we were using to triangulate the area, it's tried and true methods of drawing a line from here, here, and here, and that's where it needs to be. And we went there, and there was nothing there.
On average, about 10 fireballs are recorded worldwide every year. An estimated half of those actually produce meteorites.
This is the 5th fireball we've chased in the past year, and we were successful with 2 of them. So I think that's the end of the Dugway story. It's been quite a story. And I just can't think of anything else to try.